Welcome, everyone. Today's Monday, October 3rd, 2022, and this is the regular meeting of the City of Asbury Park Planning Board. Chairwoman Kurzak, would you please call the meeting to order?
This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Coaster and Asbury Park Press by publication of the annual meeting notice and post on the municipal bulletin board and municipal website. All notices are on file with the board secretary. Official action may be taken on the following matters before the board. Fire exits are located on the east and west sides of the council chambers, as well as the back of the building. I will ask everyone with a cell phone or other device to kindly silence your device for the duration of this meeting, and this meeting is being recorded by APTV. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now take roll call. Mayor John Moore.
Here.
Councilwoman Yvonne Clayton.
Here.
James Bonanno.
Here.
Jim Henry. Jennifer Souter.
Here.
Alexis Taylor, absent. Eric Gallipo.
Here.
Daniel Shinameo.
Here.
Barbara Kurzak.
Here.
And Rick Lambert.
Here.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, the application that we have up is 527 Bangs Avenue, an amendment.
Chairwoman?
Go ahead.
May I? Excuse
Yes.
an interruption.
Yes, this seems to have,
I reviewed all the notices, they're in proper form, and we have jurisdiction to proceed.
can we, are we okay with who is here? Because this
Yes.
was heard a really long time ago.
Yes, it's essentially with these amendments, and everyone here is eligible.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my next question.
If I may, Andrew Karras of the firm Fox Rothschild, on behalf of the applicant tonight, Pearlbud Realty LLC. If I may just give a brief overview of why we are here tonight. We're here with regard to property at 527 Banks Avenue, Block 3101, lots 9 and 10. The property is in the CBD redevelopment area in the mixed-use zone. The size of the lot is 13,333 square feet. We had previously obtained approval back in April of 2019 to allow the addition of 2 additional floors in an existing building, which would allow for 42 residential units. The reason that we are here tonight is we saw an opportunity before the facade was placed on the building to make a change that we think is more in line with the UEZ guidelines, would be a better fit for the property than that was approved. In turn, we're looking to basically put brick on the top of the building as opposed to the panel facade. That's the second and the third floors that was approved. The only other change that we're really making is with regard to the roof. We had put the penthouses with the penthouse close to the rear edge of the property. We'd rather bring that off, but the decking there, this way it comes off of that rear portion of the building, is more in the center of the building and less visible from the rear part of that building. That's really the real extent of the revisions that are being requested. The facade has not been put on. Anybody that's gone down Banks Avenue will see. But we think what we are proposing tonight better serves the UEZ guidelines in the downtown and the CBD redevelopment area. With that being said, I'll have 2 witnesses I'll be calling tonight. First, David Bucinelli, our architect, again standing in for Jose Carballo, who's familiar with the plans. I'll provide testimony on that. Also, my client will go through the staging that has been taking place. Also, we're here to allow for the staging on the rear lot, which is where it's been taking place. We want to include it within the resolution, as opposed to putting the staging in the street and taking parking space off the street. There's a vacant lot in the back. We'd like to use or get approval in the resolution to utilize, as we finish up that building, part of that vacant lot to do the staging, so we don't have to do it in the street. That being said, I'd call up Mr. Bucinelli.
Could I ask a question first?
Go ahead.
So, because I'm a little confused, because I was reading the report. So originally, it was an existing 2-story building that was going to be expanded, plus a new addition in the rear lot. Now, am I wrong that the existing two-story had been demolished, so it's a new,
Building department required it.
okay. So is this an amendment or just
No, it's
a
just
whole
an
new
amendment. We're
application?
It's an amendment, but there was notice given, so it's six in one hand, half dozen in the other. You're not changing much of the old application, except for this. The building had to be demolished. as per-
Building department, there were no ties in the
So
brick.
you've got enough before you to consider it.
I understand, but it's, in other words, all that's been passed in the resolution is still valid? It's-
Yes.
You don't, you can't because it's I mean, it wasn't what was approved.
Right,
But-
but they're seeking amendments for the changes, but you don't start from scratch. You don't.
It's two revisions that we're looking for. The facade on the third and fourth floor to add brick and to reverse where the decking was in the fence.
So can I ask, I too am confused, because we didn't have to approve the first floor, or what existed, the building that existed. We didn't have to approve that because it was there. It existed. Now it doesn't exist anymore. So how do we do that?
Well, it does exist because the building department, what happened was when we started doing the demo to get ready to build, the building department comes in, they do an inspection. I can have Greg provide testimony also. There were no ties in the brick,
Right?
and it was a dangerous condition.
Right.
So when we opened up the walls and the building department saw that, they ordered the building to come down.
Okay, so then what do we do now with the first,
It's the same exactly as what was there.
all right,
So it's
so,
being built to what it was before,
Oh,
like
what,
the
yeah, we
same.
saved all the caps and
Right.
all that.
All right,
stuff.
so all that's
totally
gonna
back
stay.
on. All that stuff.
all right, so the first and second floor are gonna remain as they were. You're asking for
Right.
whatever we approved
Yeah,
before,
facade
amendments.
Originally, you approved on the existing first and second floor. The interior is
Yep.
going to stay the same as it was laid out. The exterior is now going to be modified with the brick as
The third
opposed
and
to
fourth.
cementatious and all that.
Yeah, the first and second floor is the same as what was there. We had to rebuild at a great cost.
Right,
The building to the specs that it was before, which has been done. That's gonna remain the same. It's a third and fourth
Okay.
floor we think would be better in a brick facade as opposed to panels.
that's the clarity that I was looking for, because I didn't know how that worked.
May I
Go
swear
ahead.
in both Donna?
You may.
So wait a second. So if I didn't vote on the first one,
Yeah,
how can I vote on this one?
I don't have any problem.
I don't have any.
Because
Okay.
you're
Okay.
allowed, the modifications are fine.
Okay.
You didn't vote against it. If you voted against it, then I would say, don't vote.
Okay.
But since you didn't participate, you can vote.
Thank you.
And so the waivers that were given for parking, they're still intact then?
100%.
Yes, yeah, unless they're changed, and we'll find that out through testimony. And if they changed, he's noticed for any waivers that may be required, or variances, or exceptions. So why don't we swear in our staff as well? You solemnly swear testimony about giving this matter, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your names for the record and your affiliation with the board.
Donna Miller, board planner.
Jason Fitcher, board engineer.
Thank you. I know Donna had
No,
something.
I think you guys are.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, all.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Solemnly swear testimony about giving this matter, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And please state your name for the record and your occupation.
David Busmelli, B-U-S-I-N-E-L-L-I.
B is a boy,
Yes.
B-U-S-I,
N is in Nancy, E-L-L-I.
since my last name ends in a vowel, I can spell it. As long as I know the first name.
It's always a good thing.
And
I am a registered architect in the state of New Jersey since the year 2000, and my firm is Studio 16 Architecture. And I am here on behalf of Jose Carvalho.
Can you just give us the benefits of your qualifications so we can have you qualified? as an
Sure.
Just run through this. You're registered?
I'm registered in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. I've been registered in New York since 1996, and New Jersey since 2000, and Connecticut since about 2005.
And you've testified before boards in the state of New Jersey with
Yes, I
regards
have.
to application?
Yes, I
And
have.
you were qualified here as an expert last week also, is that correct?
are you familiar with these plans and the specs and details of these plans? and
Yes.
The intricacies of them?
Yes.
And competent to testify on behalf of Mr.
I am.
Caballero, what's his?
Carvalho.
Carvalho. Okay. Okay.
I may?
Any
David, I'd like first for you to identify the plans which are at issue tonight and give us the last revision date that is.
These are the board plans submitted by JCA Group.
With the last revision date of August 5th, 2022?
I believe that's what that says, yes.
Okay. We're going to mark that as A1 for identification.
Is that Murray?
August 5th.
Oh, not 25th, I think it's the 25th.
That's what I've done.
Oh, August 5th, I apologize. 8/5/2022, August 5th. All right, Mr. Busanad, can you please go through, first I want to take you through the revisions to the facade as we see on A3 of 4. What is being proposed?
What is being proposed is for the facade to be in a brick in lieu of the originally two cement panels, which were a multicolored arrangement. The brick is in a similar color and bond pattern to the reconstructed original building.
So it would, in a sense, match and be more consistent with that which was on the original building, which is being rebuilt, am I correct?
That's correct.
And it's more in compliance with the UEC guidelines and changing it to that brick as opposed to the niche hop panel that had been approved, am I correct?
That's right.
There are also, in addition to that, some window revisions, am I correct, on the rear of the facade?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we just identify those window revisions and any changes to the window frames in terms of color?
Okay, the window frames are proposed to be now white as opposed to the previous approval, which was gray. The sizes of the windows on the rear facade, they've been reduced via the removal of the fixed panels, the fixed panes that were below the casements. So they've shrunk in height. The sill is now higher.
Is that rear elevation north that we were looking at then?
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
So is that all the windows, or are we talking about just the white? Is that everything? I just want to know specifically, which windows?
I think the ones on the,
It appears that all of the windows have
so
been
you're talking about
Are
on
you
Banks,
talking
Bank
rear?
Street and side street
Rear.
facade.
rear elevation.
Just rear?
Rear
So that's
elevation.
here. Rear elevation, okay. So all of the windows on rear?
Yes.
But that says, I know, it says primed and painted smooth cement fiberboard, so is that what's being replaced? In number 3, rear elevation, I guess on A3, is that what we're looking at?
Those are remaining fiber cement. The brick is going to be on the Bangs Avenue and the Emery Street elevation.
Oh, okay.
See, if you look at it, it looks like it should have been there from day one. In other words, with all brick, right? And then the addition going down the west side on Emery Street, it appears more like an addition to in the old building.
So what you're replacing, where are you putting the brick, that you're replacing?
The upper story is the second and third floor.
On Bangs
The
and
third
Emery?
floor
Third.
the second, the third and fourth floors on Bangs Avenue, and as it turns the corner on Emery Street.
Got it.
So if you look at elevation number 4, you'll see.
Okay.
It's also on the interior side, on the east side.
That is correct.
Yes.
That is
It's
correct.
just
Down the
not
alley.
street
That's right, on the
elevation.
east
It's an
elevation.
alley.
Kind of
Right, when you're saying interior side, what is that?
That's the east side elevation, number 2.
Number 2, okay.
Yes.
That's that alley where you go down to the dog run. Now, also, when we look at the rooftop,
Yeah.
I'm going to take you to A2 of 4. There was a revision that was made with regard to the location of the penthouses in relation to the rear of the building and also the decks, am I correct?
Yes.
And what was changed?
The penthouses have been pulled, and the decks have been pulled back from the rear facade, so that they're now about, like I mentioned, they're, I have to look, I think it's 17.
17, 7, and 8.
Yes, that's right, 17, 7, and 8. I'm sorry, the progressive lenses are not giving me that. All right, so they're pulled away.
So they're not right on that rear
No.
property line, they're pulled, or the rear building edge, they're pulled off of that.
That's
towards the
right.
middle, am I correct?
That's correct.
And the size were still less than 20%, so we're still under the requirement, or
That's
the
right.
max requirement within the CBD redevelopment plan, am I correct?
That's correct. We are at 18.48%.
All right, in terms of the building height, there's been no change with regard to that, am I correct?
That's correct.
No further encroachments in the right-of-way?
That is correct.
No change in the lighting design?
That is correct.
Parking layout, the driveway design has remained the same, am I correct?
That is correct.
And the streetscape improvements, there have been no change to any of those, am I correct?
That is correct.
What I want to do is just go through some of the comments. Is that all you have with regard to the revisions that were made to the plan?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Two additional things. There's a cap on the top of the building, am I correct?
Yes.
And there's a recommendation from the board planner to make that limestone, that cap, am I correct?
That is
And
correct.
we think that's a good idea, and we would agree to that recommendation.
Yes.
In addition, there was a recommendation with regard to the panels to use a greenish type panel. And we have no, and we'll get to that in the plan, in the report, but we have no opposition to that, am I correct?
That's right.
Is that again, Andy? I was writing the,
A greenish color for the panels, and we'll get to that specifically.
Oh, okay.
in the report. All right, the first thing I want to do is take you, let's go through the insight report. And why don't we mark that as
let's make that B1,
B1?
please.
Today is the 3rd.
Yes. Date of that report is September 29th, 2022.
That is correct.
Okay.
Taking a look at the insight report, I just want to hit a few things with you. In the zoning review, the number 1, we will provide testimony in terms of the mechanicals. That hasn't changed. We'll have Mr. Vada from SAC provide testimony on that. Number 2, building height, you've already gone through it. There's no change to that. Am I correct?
That's right.
And number 3, setbacks for the building, that has not changed any right-of-way setbacks. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Signage has not changed. Am I correct?
Correct.
You've gone through the architectural elements that we are proposing in terms of an amendment. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. 6, with regard to the lighting, no changes are being made. Am I correct?
That is correct.
7, parking, again, no changes are being made.
No changes.
Okay. And these are architectural changes that will have no impact on any type of grading or drainage. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Number 9, streetscape, again, that's not being changed, correct?
Correct.
And number 10, the staging, will have Mr. Vada provide testimony. We can now take a look at the CCH report. We'll mark that as B2 with today's date, 10/3/2022, and that report is dated September 30th of 2022.
Got that, Maureen? Okay.
Am I going too fast?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, throw something at me to slow down, that's fine. Okay, going to, we'll jump forward to the project details. The windows, B on page 4, you already addressed that, you're proposing that the frames be in white rather than gray, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, on all those windows. B1, in terms of the reduction of the size in the rear windows, 3rd and 4th floor, you've addressed that, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, the size of the windows on the rear facade have been reduced in size with the removal of the fixed panes under the casement windows. You've addressed that, am I correct?
Yes.
The penthouse units and roof decks, application is 7. I believe the approval was for 7 also, not for 8, although the report reflects 8.
Resolution actually says 8.
Does it say 8?
I had to catch myself, but I didn't work on the original application.
You know what, I looked at the old plans and it was 7, not 8. But irrespective, there are 7 that are on here.
So do we have to approve that there's 7 and the resolution says 8?
Can reduce.
You can reduce.
Yeah, well, because evidently the
We're
resolution
under the 20%.
is in error. I guess it was 7 as, or wasn't I? Made a mistake and nobody picked it up.
I missed it. The orientation, it reflects of the balcony is going to be changed, again, pulling back those penthouses So you're gonna have that railing along the parapet instead of a blank wall on the rear of the building, am I correct?
That is correct.
On page 5, number 2 there, the units now are more consistent in size. The penthouse, they're still under the 20%, am I correct?
That is correct.
The facade design is reflected in 2.1. The proposed amendment is more consistent with the UZ design guidelines. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
On 2.2A indicates a limestone tinted cornice or cap on the top of the parapet of the new stories above the original building would provide a complementary finish to the top of the building. We agree with that, am I correct?
Yes,
And we've agreed to do that with any approval for any amendment tonight, am I correct?
that's correct.
B, on page 7, it says the applicant should specify the shade of the colored panels and use a green shade that is complementary to the shade of the red brick used on the primary facade. We have no opposition to that, am I correct?
That is correct.
And that's on the proposed addition fronting on Emory, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to clarify that. I'm not saying we have to use green. I mean, the board can use its judgment as to what color it prefers. I was just, because no specific shade was specified, I wanted to make sure that whatever, for either the brick or the cement panels, that, you know, they follow on the color wheel to be complementary with each other and not get a contrast that's off.
And we have no opposition to submitting that to you before we have the final choice.
Again, if the board wants a different color than green.
Where is this?
On the piece on Emory where it's the ground floor and the,
Right, down here, sorry, that was, thank you.
Any comment on that, or should I move on?
I don't think that the board has any issue with that color,
Okay.
the green.
2.3, design of the new windows, again, is compatible in scale and color with the nearby buildings. Would agree with that?
Yes.
That's all I have for the 2 reports.
So what's the reason for you may have said it earlier, I didn't catch it, the change in the window design on the northern
It
facade?
just was more compatible the way it's there within the building.
Because you have the old, because the amendment for the building on Bangs has the windows that were existing, and then the Emory Street side also has that window design, but then you change it when you go on the.
Yeah, because when you look at the rear facade over there, that has those balconies over there, and it fits within that better.
There's also a window change on the bang side, correct?
Yeah, it matches the Emory side, it matches what was there on the north side originally.
third floor, there are a couple of windows that are different.
There are 5, 6.
I mean, the overall style of the window matches what was on the north facade originally.
Yeah.
And now you're changing the north facade to something different.
Right. On the 3rd floor,
Yeah, there's some, I'm looking at, there's some relatively minor revisions to the window line.
2 casements are changed to double hungs, and the 3rd and 4th floor windows reduced in size, so that's, we're all trying to balance that facade out.
So are we saying
I
that,
don't understand
I
that.
mean, it would be helpful to have,
Comparison?
yeah, just like what was approved versus
But
what.
it was the original design, what I thought was the original design, this going back many years, I had submitted, but we have within the report, planner's report.
Yeah, page 4, at the top of page 4 is a,
Yeah, I remember
it's not,
it had
it's
to
the
be,
corner look, but.
we wanted it
Yeah.
different because it was new construction versus existing construction, so we wanted it to be really kind of stand apart, but since it's all new construction now, I don't think it really matters.
But keep in mind, the first and second floor matches.
That's what I'm saying, but originally we approved it because we wanted the upper floor to be different than the bottom floor because the original floor was just somewhat historic and to differentiate new construction from old construction, but now it's all new construction, so it's kind of a moot point.
We haven't finished the building yet.
Except that it's
I mean,
trying to mirror the
It's-
original design, so
Yeah.
you still don't know where the historic
First and-
ends and the new begins.
There is,
The first
there is
is
no
one-
That's,
historic.
if you had the original building, I would agree, but since we had to take it down, it gives us now the opportunity
Yeah,
to do
no,
something consistent.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just saying, I mean, there's really nothing left that's historic, some details
It's
maybe.
actually the reverse. I mean, if you were gonna tear down the building in the first place, we wouldn't have had to do any of this. You could have done,
Right.
you know,
Something
all
complete.
modern. I mean,
Contemporary, right,
yeah,
But
But we try to keep that
I
historic.
mean, I like
and
it, it's just, there were decisions made as part of the original approval
Because it
that
was
we're
an
trying
old
to
dis-
honor
Right.
where the historic building ended and the new construction started from a design.
which is, I think, the right approach in that context.
Right.
Now, my question is about these windows on the third floor that are different. So you have these, what are they, 3 panels, right? And then there's these other ones that have the cross transom.
Those where the sliders are.
Right, and why,
Well, they sliders,
There's sliders under those fixed
because
transoms, yeah.
that's a patio?
I believe.
That's why they did.
I get it,
I just wanna double check on
I
this.
feel like the stylistically, it's now,
It breaks the pattern.
it's
Yep.
weird, because the whole appeal of the facade is kind of the consistency. And to me, it feels like you either just need to spend more on a more expensive door that goes all the way to the top.
Or, you sound like you're gonna do an or.
I don't know.
I don't know that there is an order to that. We're not gonna put a fixed pane at the bottom.
I wanna hear it from her.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree.
I think
I
you should.
agree with
I
Harry.
think that the mass of the door should fill the whole frame, and you shouldn't have a transom and doors.
Is it your point that
It
there's
should look-
inconsistency between the
yes.
windows, that they should all look the same on the third floor?
Well, all of the windows appear to go full height to the top, except those ones that.
The
now
transom,
have-
right.
That have a transom.
Does it bother you that the other ones are 3 sections, I guess they're 3 sections, and the other ones
Oh,
are 2
triples as
sections?
opposed to the
No, no.
doubles for the slider,
I
yeah.
just think you just need a taller.
How are they double hung?
Taller slider.
Yeah.
Are they double hung? Because they look like 3 panels, they're casements, right?
They're casing.
They're all.
Is there some way to make it less
It- yeah.
obvious that there's
So
a transom? 'Cause-
my suggestion is that the door, they just need a custom slide door that takes up the
All the way.
entire height. And then you'll have.
Yeah, because I mean,
Doesn't
it
have-
just,
doesn't have the
it
transom.
really,
It won't
Right.
match 3 and 2 and 3 and 2 and whatever, but it was.
At least
Everything will just be vertical.
right.
Get rid of that
Correct.
horizontal.
That
line.
transom doesn't really go at all.
Why can't they make the casements 2 panels too? Too much.
Those are
Too
already
big.
installed.
Installed, I thought there's no building there.
Have you been by recently?
You put the transom
It's
on,
all
like it's
wood
stuff
stuff.
over.
Yeah, it's almost completely dried in.
Stuff with the side.
I don't understand why this is just not a whole new application.
It's strange. It is, that's a really good question,
I
Dave.
mean,
Why is
and
it so?
why isn't this a whole new application?
What was the question?
Why is not everything,
once
why is
the building
everything
was
not de
demolished, Why
novo?
didn't they just come back?
Why is it not all de novo?
I know, I mean, it's
No
ridiculous
need.
to.
No, understood.
I mean,
We understand
because-
why, but it's also a philosophical one.
And
They could have
and
created a really nice, modern, contemporary design.
And we gave a waive of so many parking spaces.
They gave him a waiver on the size of the parking spaces.
I-
One for
I-
waiver, the other
Well, I
was
think, did we make it
contribution to
known
the parking
that
fund.
anytime
I mean, we
there's a
keep on doing that.
demolition, they have to come back
Parking is
before they can do the
We have to
demolition?
stop getting
Well,
waivers.
they have to go to the city.
Or they, yeah, they have to
the
come
city
before
has to
us.
Waiver.
But that was a safety.
Size of the space.
Right.
Quantity of
You say, oh,
space.
you
All right, do we need to take a moment?
Let me answer your question. The plan allows for financial contribution that we will provide you.
I understand that,
So go ahead and take it.
but then with that money, we don't create new parking spaces.
That's up to the city.
I
Yeah,
understand that, but that's why.
Jack, do we have to take a break? Because this is like, we're
Yeah, why
not.
don't we take it?
Right.
Because it's just turning into a
Okay,
general discussion.
can we just like take 5?
Motion
Move
to take a 5-minute break?
Take a break.
Discuss it further.
Right.
Second,
Once you take 5, you come back.
okay. All
No, I have my other questions.
Yeah, well, when you come back.
right, we're taking 5. Okay, can we,
Alrighty, yes. I'll take roll call. Mayor John Moore.
Here.
Councilwoman Yvonne Clayton.
Yes.
James Bonanno.
Here.
Jim Henry. Absent. Jennifer Souter. Here. Alexis Taylor is absent. Eric Gallipo.
Here.
Daniel Shinameo.
Here,
Barbara Kurzak.
here,
Rick Lambert.
Here.
Okay.
All right, so my understanding now is that with the old building, we didn't have the opportunity to go out and have sliders there to go and utilize that roof in the front. Now, with the building not there and the new building going up, and I guess with the structural elements that were put in to make this a more sturdy building, they're able to go out there, and that's why you have those as your sliders, and that differentiates those doors as sliders from the adjacent ones that have the transom.
Okay, but that's another amendment then, not
Right.
just the windows.
I know,
The
but
use of the
I'm
roof-
explaining.
The use of the roof, so it's not the same as it was
Except
before.
except the plan that was approved says new insulated glass on aluminum frame with sliding tempered glass doors on the third floor.
I understand, so.
So there were sliders.
Yeah,
Right,
there
but
were.
maybe there were sliders, but were there sliders with the transom?
Well, no, it was a different kind of window design, the whole
So
thing was
then-
very different.
It's,
So it's not just windows that were changing?
And was the.
I'm just saying,
it's a
we just
slider
heard-
with the.
we just heard
So
that
there's
the original
sliding
building couldn't
doors.
accommodate sliders.
No, it,
No, it's a slider now with the transom.
We need to
right,
get some
yeah.
order. We've got multiple
Sliding door with the
people speaking at the
two
same
transoms
time.
above.
Let's go one person at a time. Go ahead.
So I just was trying to clarify, Mr. Karas said, under the original plan, because the old building couldn't accommodate walking out of the third floor, they didn't have sliders. But I'm looking at the plan, which
And it does.
specified
The approved plan.
sliding tempered glass doors on the third floor.
Okay, so we approved them, but on the plan that we approved, did we see a transom on the sliding glass doors?
So the design visually is, it looks the same as the windows on the fourth floor, with a central casement fronted by
Right.
two fixed panes and then the transoms on the bottom, or the squared fixed panes on the bottom.
So no transom on the, there were no sliders, even though we said there were sliders on the approved plan.
Again, it appears to be a discrepancy between what was visually represented as an image and what the notes specified the window to be.
Okay,
I don't recall, I came into this application at the very end when we were picking out whether it should be red for the panels. So I'm not familiar with, I don't recall any testimony about how those third floor windows were gonna be treated
right.
originally.
But they still, were we approved, because now they're saying they're using the roof of the second story for some purpose, you have a
Right.
slider. Was it approved for that?
It was not, because it
Again,
didn't exist.
I don't know that,
Well, there was a step back,
Yes, a
the
step
new
back.
building was gonna be step back like 3 feet or 5 feet from the
I
parapet.
feel like there is a lack of specificity in the documentation in front of us that
You should be hearing this.
with these changes, whatever the applicant feels they're substantive or not, I feel like a full drawing set where we can see the details of what we're
No.
looking at.
If we have to go through all that, we'll
Hold on,
withdraw
hang on,
that.
hang
We're
on.
not doing it.
Hang on.
I just want to ask a question about, we don't, I feel like we've been given this kind of low amount of information to make these decisions on.
Donna, can you see what the setback was approved for the new addition from the parapet of the existing building?
yeah, so second floor, third floor.
Because Mr. Karas
I think it was
just
like 3
said,
feet, I don't think it was very
Yeah.
deep.
Mr. Karas just
You mentioned
said,
is 3 feet.
It was 3 feet, right?
yeah, Mr. Karas just said they were not able to utilize it
Right.
in the original.
I may have
What does
been
that mean?
mistaken. It looks like it was.
So is this revision gonna also be 3 feet from the parapet?
It's just, we're not changing
So the massing is exactly the same?
exactly the same. That's not being changed. But I'll tell you right now, if the request is that we go back and do a full architectural redesign, we're not doing that.
We just
What we're
wanna
doing-
talk.
No, I don't think anybody's
The request is to
said
see
that.
drawings that represent what you're trying to do.
It's here.
So I think the issue is that the new design has transoms over where the sliders are placed, which we don't like that. So we would like a better design that if it's a custom slider that opens so that you don't have
The
broken
transom.
up transom, right. So that the whole glass door moves.
But
That's fine. Well, we're gonna have to get rid of the transom. I didn't realize that was on there, but if we gotta get rid of that, we'll go back to the original, that's fine.
I mean, there just has to
What
be
was the
some,
original? I'm confused.
Well-
What was the original
Whatever the original window design was,
that was approved?
that was approved, you'll make sure that's what,
Which means you will no longer be providing access to your exterior.
whatever was there, if it was on the
No, I
original.
think there was access. I'm pretty sure there was
What were you gonna
access.
say?
If you, am I correct to understand that if you go back to the original design, quote, that your residents will not have access to that third?
I may have been mistaken. From what I understand
think they
from the
did have
board
access.
planner, as I indicated, I believe I was mistaken, and that was on the original plan.
where's the original plan? Can we see the original plan?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Mr. Harris, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. If you implement a window, an opening in that building without sliders, right? Is that what you're suggesting? I really just don't understand.
No, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying we're doing the same exact window design as had been on the original approval. That's what will be there.
But there's a discrepancy between what.
What I'm saying is whatever was in the original design for the windows on that third floor, we will go back to, make sure that's
So-
what it's
So I'm gonna say, right now, I'm looking at it. The image depicts a triple casement with 3 fixed panels on it, just like the layout of the 4th floor that you proposed.
So no slide.
So-
And a note right on the glass that says, new insulated glass on aluminum frame with sliding tempered glass doors tip. So I don't know how the casement with the fixed pane on the bottom is supposed to work as a sliding glass door.
Right, or to provide access to that space.
But it has in there that you can do sliders there. It's approved for sliders.
But
If the slider looks,
Goes from floor to.
Goes to floor to
the
ceiling.
top of the
This is the
opening.
top of the opening.
Right.
that's it.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we're good with sliders going floor to ceiling. That's what you want.
Or the
I'm just trying to
opening. From the
understand.
bottom to the top of the opening, it
Okay,
should be a
without a
slider.
transom.
Without
no
a transom.
transom,
That's fine.
because that's horizontal, everything else is vertical.
Yes, correct, yes.
We want everything vertical.
Yes.
Eric, can you tell me how to characterize that as a condition of this?
I would say that each panel of the slider must fill the
And
entire
where is this located?
3rd floor.
third floor.
There's
Facing
6 of
bangs.
them.
Slider.
Yes.
On
Third
the-
floor, facing bangs.
Third floor facing out.
Yeah, we don't care about that.
Okay, and the substances?
Is the vertical height of each panel of the slider shall fill the entire vertical height of the opening.
One question is if we,
Excuse me.
Hold on, hold on.
As I indicate, we'll get rid of the transom, which is fine.
Vertical height of each panel of the slider will?
Fill the entire vertical height of
It's
the
fine.
opening in the building.
Okay. I got
Okay.
that.
And so that allows them to, have if they need to have different size panels.
So I put it just as a parentheses, no transom.
No transom.
In parentheses.
I got it. Okay, now I'm sorry, I just.
There was something that James was,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, just because it sounds like no one expected them to be using that area right outside the window before. Now that they are we okay with is the wall there high enough?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see dimensions on this, so I
That was all
wasn't sure.
discussed initially.
Right.
As long as it's safe.
exactly.
They
So-
wouldn't have received construction permit or occupancies.
Even
It's
without
actually
access-
pretty
without
high.
access
If
to
I
it.
recall,
Okay, yeah.
if I recall, the parapet was really pretty high.
Okay, yeah, it's
And
hard to tell
it's a
from the
building
drawings.
code issue.
Right.
So they wouldn't receive a CO.
Yeah, because they also have the.
Tyler, could you read that
arch part.
note again, please? The window.
I can't believe that was so long ago.
19.
New insulated glass on aluminum frame with sliding tempered glass doors. Typical. And then, so for example, on the 4th floor, it says insulated glass casement window. Typical.
And there's access.
Right.
Witness time?
I have no further questions.
Are we okay with the windows? Everybody's okay?
They've agreed to no
Yes.
no
Okay.
transfer.
And
We're
you
good.
indicated that there was to be a change in the material of the capping, the coping for the
Limestone.
the new portion of the third and fourth floor, it's on.
I agree to.
No, I'm just double checking, so that would be, was it, what does?
I don't, it doesn't have to be limestone, it can be
No, I
whatever.
think it should
I
match.
thought,
think
I
it
thought it
should-
was a good idea, I think it makes sense, and I think it adds
It'll be a
architectural.
It'll be a similar color to the coping of your first and second floor.
Yes.
That detail that goes around,
Yeah.
okay. What does the UBZ say about the design of cornices, if anything?
Most of the language is geared toward, existing features being preserved. New construction is, treated like new construction, so it doesn't, you're supposed to complement existing buildings, not so much match.
Do you have there's no detail of this, of the new design of
Yeah, like how deep is it?
the, yeah.
Is it flush or is it
No,
coping?
it looks like there's a little
Is there-
lip.
It's always a little lip, it always
Yeah,
protrudes.
like
a
how
little
far does
bit.
it stick out?
You know, half inch, an inch, inch and a half, depending on spec. But here it's rendered as
Pretty
similar.
dramatic, much more
So-
significant in the rendering.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rendering would have to be updated to show.
No, we don't need you to update the render. We're just curious what the detail of it is, 'cause when we wrote.
I mean, that looks like about 6 inches or so, that's, I was just curious,
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it's
it
actually
might be,
kind of nice.
But again, I don't have that.
Understand?
But it's just a blunt edge, it's not
Correct.
it's not rolling, it's not architectural detail.
Usually at the top of the building, it'll have a flat edge with a full nose.
Anybody else? Any other questions for this witness from the board or from our professionals? We're okay? Okay, go open to the public. Any questions from the public? No
Mr.
questions from the public?
From John Cooper?
That's right, from John Q. Public, nothing? Okay. All right, your next witness.
Correct?
Sir, please raise your right hand. Solemnly swear testimony about giving this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Greg, first name, last name Vada. V like in Victor. O, T as in Thomas, T as in Thomas, A.
Thank you.
Greg,
One G or two? Excuse me? One G.
1G.
It's not together.
That's a good point, too.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
Greg, by whom are you employed?
I'm employed by Sacman Enterprises.
In what capacity?
Senior project manager.
And you're intimately familiar with this project?
Yes.
Okay, two things I want to go over. Mechanical equipment on the roof. Has the location of mechanical equipment on the roof changed per the revisions that are being proposed tonight?
Mechanical equipment on the roof is still located in the front portion of the building, centered in the area.
Okay. I just want to go over, the parapet is how high?
28 inches high.
And how high is that equipment?
The equipment is approximately 34 inches high.
And how far back is it from that
It is
parapet?
set back 14 feet, 6 and 7/8 inches.
Based upon that, is that visible?
It is not visible from the road.
In terms of staging for the construction of the project, am I correct that there are two vacant lots behind this project, 512 and 514 Summerfield?
Correct.
And those are owned by affiliates of Sacman, am I correct?
That is correct.
And you like 512 and 514 Summerfield Avenue? And as opposed to utilizing staging on the street, feel it would be appropriate to utilize these vacant lots as not to take any parking spaces off the street, am I correct?
That is correct.
And in turn, you'd like to include within the resolution, be able to utilize for staging purposes, 512, 514 lots, am I correct?
That is correct.
In terms of safety, I just want to go through, because the question was raised, the safety measures that have been taken will continue to be taken relative to the development of this site.
Correct. If you happen to drive by the rear of the building, you will see that safety fencing has been installed, which delineates the staging area from the parking lots 512 and 514 Summerfield.
And also in the front of the building, you have
Correct.
fencing also, am I correct?
Along Bangs Avenue, correct.
And that provides for pedestrian safety and ensure that nobody goes onto the site during the course of construction that is not supposed to be on the site, am I correct?
Correct.
That's all the questions I have.
So this,
The two lots, I'm sorry,
go ahead.
the two lots that you're using for staging? So is one of them Lot 10, that's was going to be the new building?
No,
No. What are those two lots used for now?
they're vacant.
But
So
they used
this
for-
is lot 2 and 3?
Yeah, those
Which-
are lots 2 and 3. Yeah, we're gonna be going in with an application to actually make those into parking lot site plan application that has not been filed yet.
So they're not used for parking for any building now?
One has historically been parking on there. The building department or zoning said we couldn't use that. One already had been for God knows.
But it's not
Let me-
currently
let me
being
just
used for
finish.
any
Let me
requirement?
just finish, so I get it on the record. So one had historically been used as a parking lot, the other side hadn't. Zoning department said, no, we don't want you to use for building, otherwise come in for a site plan application. We'll file a site plan application. But we want permission to use it to stage as opposed to staging in the street.
So my question is, they're currently not being used to satisfy parking requirement for any other property?
Oh, it's not being used to satisfy, no.
Thank you.
All right, so now there are 2 vacant lots, lot 2 and 3, and that's where you want to use staging. How do you access that?
From the street.
Oh, you can get that from the street?
Oh, they're curb cuts.
Okay. If the applicant owns them.
We were cited for violations for using that to stage.
Oh, you were cited for it?
Sure.
So then so you no longer will be using anything on Bangs or Emery as staging, everything will be
We've
behind?
been using 512 and 514 for staging,
Okay, so you're just formalizing this?
formalizing.
Okay, okay. All right. Any other questions about that? Or does that conclude the
That's it.
testimony?
That's it.
Any questions? Open to the public? John Q? No? Okay. Let's close public questions. All right, let's go.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Before we get into discussions,
Yep.
or do you have the original resolution of approval? Let's mark that as B3, please. And place on the record that if it's contained therein that there's 8 penthouses, it's going to be a condition of this approval that is going to be corrected to 7 penthouses. There will also be a condition of this approval that there'll be a correction for that resolution.
Yeah, just for that resolution is dated 4/8/2019,
Yes.
and that's my mistake to not catch.
Signed on April 8th, 2019. That was the meeting date. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, sure.
All right, do we have any conditions besides the
Yeah,
non-transom?
I have a few that
Go ahead.
we can go over. I have usual CBD, numerous amount. The correction, the recommendation to shade the area within the CCH report in green shade, and put that in, but I'll make that more reference to that specific spot. The limestone cap as recommended in the CCH report. The third floor bangs, the vertical height of each panel of the slider will fill the entire opening, and in parentheses, no transom. The next one would be the staging will be legally taking place on vacant lots located at 512 and 514 Summerfield Avenue.
Okay, and that's lot 2 and 3.
Lots 2 and 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments that they would like to make, or anything? Are we okay?
So the conditions that were set forth in the resolution, so some of them may have not been, because they like subject to
Right.
whatever.
There'll be a clause in here that says all conditions of the prior approval are still valid, and if outstanding, must be complied with unless as modified by this approval.
Okay, so some may not be satisfied as of now, right? But that doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, because the resolution compliance takes place during construction.
Got it.
Right up to the Caesar's issue.
Okay. No comments? No comments? Okay, can I get a motion to,
Oh,
go ahead.
we can have a comment. Yeah, so.
Yes, comment.
Both comment while you vote, or?
No, comment now?
Comment like a discussion.
Well, unless it's on the,
comment like a
unless it's on the
discussion.
motion, you can- if there's a motion pending and you have questions
Yeah,
about that.
yeah,
No.
there's no motion yet.
No. You can, or if you have more
I'll make
general.
a comment when I vote.
Oh,
Okay.
that's fine. You can-
Okay.
yeah, you can do it then.
All right, good.
Move to approve.
Wait. We have to open for
Yeah,
public
general-
comment,
general,
please?
Comments of the public?
I was just gonna
Can I
say-
get an open to, oh, go ahead, hang on.
Comment.
Go ahead.
Say something.
All right, Yvonne has a comment.
I have a comment. My comment is.
Well, why don't we
I like
close the
it better.
public first?
We didn't really actually open the comment yet. So,
We didn't open the public?
we really didn't.
To John Q.
We didn't quite to John Q yet. Okay, go ahead.
My only comment is, I prefer the building with the changes, and it's all brick, and I think it fits in better with the surrounding buildings.
Before that comment.
That's
we should
personal
have
opinion,
let's have
but that's
public-
mine.
Because you should consider the public comments, if any, when making.
Okay, all right, let's open, can I get a motion to open public comment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
John Q? Okay. Motion to close public
So
comment.
moved.
Move closed.
Second?
Yvonne and Dan.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay.
Okay.
Any comments from the board before we vote?
Yvonne?
Oh, now?
You wouldn't mind reading?
She liked it.
She likes it.
Stating your
She likes it. I have
She likes it. She
I have to
likes it.
admit, I'm on with
It
the
looks
vinyl, so
nice.
it looks really, it's nicer than
It's
the
nice.
original. It really is. Thank you. Okay,
Motion?
Move to approve with the resolution, the conditions Jack
Second.
discussed,
yeah, what he said.
what he said.
Okay. Roll
Yvonne
call
seconded.
of discussion on the motion?
Yvonne
Anyone?
seconded.
Okay, roll call, and from the secretary and the comments from the members as they vote.
Okay, so roll call and comments at the same
Yeah,
time?
they may make comments when they vote.
Or not.
Dan wants to make a comment.
So is it the vote to approve the changes or
Yes.
to approve the motion?
No, there's a
the
motion
changes.
to approve the changes with the conditions that I outlined. It's been made by Mr. Lambert and seconded by Yvonne. Roll call, please.
Mayor John Moore,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clayton,
Yes.
James Bonanno,
Yes.
Jim Henry, absent, Jennifer Souter,
Yes.
Alexis Taylor is absent, Eric Gallipo,
Yes.
Daniel Shinameo.
I also like the changes, although I think it's unfortunate. I wish I was here for the original application, and I would have voted not to approve the waiver for parking, regardless of the contribution to the city. I think it's something that we have to stop allowing waivers for parking. Parking is extremely limited, valuable asset in the city, and we just have to make developers build the required amount of parking. But I vote yes for the application.
Barbara Kurzak,
Yes.
and Rick Lambert.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, thank you very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?